Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today, for our number talk, we are approximating sums, trying to figure out these two fractions, are they about 1/2, about 1, or about 2? So, one way that we can approximate the sums, and we're not going to change denominators and do the actual addition, is to change each of these fractions into benchmark fractions and just mentally add. So let's start with 93 over 94. Hopefully we see that this is going to be really easy for us to approximate. So when we're thinking of benchmark fractions, and as long as they're, proper fractions, and we don't have improper fractions, I always like to change them either to 0, 1/2, or 1. And take a look at this 93 over 94. First off, 94 is a huge denominator, but 93 out of 94 is only 1 away from 1 whole, right? 1 whole would be 94 out of 94. So hopefully we immediately said that's basically 1. So it's definitely not going to be 1/2 because that first fraction is already greater than that 1/2, right? It's at least 1. That 93 over 94 might as well be 1 whole. Now, 45 over 70, that's a little bit trickier. So let's look at the 0, the 1/2, and the 1. Okay, so 0, just going to make these have an easier denominator. So 0 is just 0 over whatever denominator you want. This 1 whole, right, we can reimagine that as 70 over 70. What would 1/2 be? Well, what's half of 70? Half of 70 is going to be 35. Okay, so it's not this. So where does that 45 over 70 land? Well, it's 35 plus 10 gets you 45. And then 45, that's actually going to be a plus 25 to get you up to the 70. So it's a little bit closer to here. If I were to put this on a number line, right, it'd probably be about there. So that's about half. It's a little bit more than a half, but it's about a half. So 1 plus a half equals about 1.5. Not one of my options. So we need to figure out, is that 1.5 closer to 1 or is that closer to 2? Well, let's look at it. We need to remember that this is basically 1 whole, right? And let's imagine this as 1. Here's my 2, and right here's my 1.5. So this 93 over 94 gets us basically to that 1 right there. So we need to see how big this jump is from the 45 over 70. Remember, we said it went us to about, 1/2, which would get us as a total of 1.5, but that doesn't help us. But remember, this was greater than 1/2. 1/2 was really 35 over 70. This was 10 more, so that's actually going to get us, maybe right up here. So if it were an option, 1.5 would be an option, but it's not. So let's say we land right about there. Well, is that closer to 1 or is that closer to 2? Well, we're actually over 1.5. And think of rounding, right? When you're over 5, you round up to the next. So this actually would round us up to, this is about 2.